Bill Caudill was elected president of the Eastern United States Pipe Band Association in December 2022, and over the last year has been settling into his role as president of the world's largest piping and drumming organization. Representing pipers and drummers from Texas to Maine, with 6 regional branches, the EUSPBA presidency is no easy task. As possibly the only major pipe band association to place a limit of 2 two-year terms on its president, a maximum of 4 years inevitably concentrates efforts to implement an agenda and create change. Caudill welcomes the challenge with enthusiasm and charisma. He brings to the role an extensive competitive piping background, having marched the boards as a professional-grade soloist and a competing band piper and pipe major. A native of Waxhaw, North Carolina, Bill Caudill is full of Southern grace and congeniality. In addition to his accomplishments in piping, he has many academic achievements, including a master's in folklore from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. He has delivered lectures on the history of Scottish settlements in the southern USA for numerous academic organizations, including the University of Glasgow and a symposium on Scottish Gaelic culture in North America, sponsored by Harvard University. Caudill is the founder of the Scottish Heritage Center and the Pipe Band at St. Andrews University in Laurinburg, North Carolina. He's a member of the EUSPBA's Judges Panel and has served in various elected roles with the association's Southern Branch. He was elected president of the Alliance of North American Pipe Band Associations, ANAPBA, in 2023. He has taught piping at the North American Academy of Piping Summer School, founded by the late Sandy Jones, for nearly 30 years. As part of Pipes Drums Association Leadership Spotlight Series, we caught up with EUSPBA President Bill Caudill to hear about his role and vision for the associations. We'll run the conversation in 2 parts. We started by asking him how things are going after his first year.
The first year has been one for me to a great degree of learning and observing. You know, I've not really come in with any set agendas, and certainly not going to clean house. We don't have we have staggered terms for folks on the executive committee, so there's some carryover from previous administrations, and the new elections which we just had this past year for officer at large, and we've got some new officers at large in place there. But one for me of really seeing how things worked and seeing things that might not be working as well as they could be, perhaps. This first year has been one of not a great deal of change for the association, so to speak. But one for me of getting acclimated in this role as a presiding officer for meetings and trying to move forward some of the agenda items which I had in my own platform going forward. So.
Maybe, could you highlight a few things that you might be pushing forward already that you'd like to draw attention to?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things I can't necessarily take full responsibility for them, but one of the things that has been ongoing has been a plan for our music board to create the A and B levels of judging, because we are the only association right now within North America that does not have that category, stratification, whatever you want to call it there. So the music board with Nick Hudson at the helm there has been working on that and employing help from other associations for their suggestions on that, which we'll probably be getting some word and news about later in the year. One of the things that I'm just starting to get afoot is something that would take the place of our old Voice, our magazine. And of course, that was one of the things that was eliminated in some budget cuts and very necessary budget cuts a few years ago. So we're looking at creating an online version, perhaps podcasts, things like that, that would sort of connect our association a little bit better. We've got great stories to tell from within our association, on the news to share, and it's awfully hard to keep your finger on the pulse all the way from Texas to Maine. there. So that's one of the things that has been a big interest of mine, and just had some discussions about this week, and we had to be able to roll out something in the early spring for that. So those are a couple things that are going on right now.
Very good. And, that's a good reminder. You mentioned Texas to Maine. That is a massive geography for a single association to have. What about, for the next year? I mean, you did highlight a few things there, but what about things in general that you'd like to see happen in the next year of your second half of your term?
Well, one of the things that we have coming up here in 2024 is our 60th anniversary, and we think about the history of this association and the leaders that have gone before me. We are in some dialogue right now about ways to meaningfully honor that 60-year anniversary. So that's going to be another thing that's on the plate for this coming year.
Yeah, that's a great milestone. Good reminder of that 60 years of a lot of evolution in the EUSPBA for sure.
Yeah.
Now, your predecessor, Jim Delahaye, he would seem to put a great emphasis on education, training, reinvigorating or elevating even more the EUSPBA's, I guess, that ethic of education. Are you continuing that process?
Yeah, obviously, what started there within Jim's administration, which was quite a successful one. One of the things that he had focused on and the EC had focused on at that point was drumming education. And one of the things that we had done was to enlist and subsidize for our membership during that downtime in COVID some assistance in education there. We were subsidizing an educational program available to our membership at very reduced cost there. The unfortunate thing was that there was only less than a quarter of our membership that took advantage of that. So, cracking that nut, how do you actually reach these people and show them that you have things to offer for them? I think that's something that we still have work to do on in terms of education. As I mentioned, this podcast sort of thing, there certainly would be an educational component within that as well. My dream was to have something that would expand upon what we have on our website as the learning channel. There's a great deal of information that was put out there by the late Jimmy McIntosh. We need to continue building on that. Having these resources that can be at the touch of the finger for our membership. One of the other things that we're looking at in terms of education, we are seeing now a rise here in the U.S. of interest among service bands. When I say service bands, that's the fire, police, sheriff's departments, all these sorts of things that are going on. That was really practically unheard of, south of the Mason-Dixon line when I was coming up. At that point, it was all the shrine organizations with pipe dancing, and that seems to have disappeared to a great degree. But now we've got all of these folks that are involved with the service organizations. And when you look at it, when we look at our mass media, how many times do we see bagpipes and drums or a pipe band put forth in the public eye? Over 90% or greater of that is going to be when you're seeing on the TV a fallen officer's funeral and you hear the pipe band playing in the background, things like that. We need to outreach to that growing number of organizations there who are, in general, not members of our association. We need to reach out to them. If they're going to be the public eye of our instrument and our tradition here in the U.S., then we need to reach out to them and try to help make them the best that they can possibly be in representing our instrument. So that's one thing that we're very much attuned to right now and working on.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. It makes so much sense. It seemed to be I mean, 9/11 was a horrible day and horrible period for the United States and the world. But those service bands really came to the fore. We really saw in the metropolitan New York area, especially, fire department, police department, piping. So it just makes sense to try to elevate that.
Yeah, they've had that tradition in say the large metropolitan areas, particularly in the Northeast, where there would have been Scottish and Irish immigration, that sort of thing, traditions to build on. I did a workshop last year. Going to be doing a workshop in a few weeks again down in Florida for a school that is built primarily around these service organization individuals. I went in last year to this and I asked these 50, 60 people there, how many of you are members of the EUSPBA? How many people have heard of the EUSPBA? And there's only a very few of them that raised their hands. And I'm thinking about the resources, the things that we have to offer them. We've got to reach out. We can't be complacent about that. We've got to reach out and be proactive in getting them involved. And we've even created a service band category for competition now. With relaxed numbers and rules and things like that to try to at least get them out. Let them get their feet wet, help them get better.
Yeah, you've got to start and make people feel welcomed. Rather than not being a part of the great club of piping and drumming.
I think there's always been this image that hey, we're not a competition band. We're not that good, but we're doing our thing. Well, now we think about the evolution of what's happened in instruments and things like that. Those guys are light years better than they would have been 30 years ago, 40 years ago, simply because of the quality of the instrument sound, things like that. So why not?
Yeah,
they're going to represent us. We've got to reach out and help them be as good as they can be.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our interview with Bill Caudill, president of the Eastern United States Pipe Band Association, in our ongoing Association Leadership Spotlight series.